Okay, so this is the video going over the worksheet, the MCS review from the day that I was out. Now, there is still a quiz tomorrow. Even though I was out, I'm going to go through the whole worksheet. If you need to, you can fast forward through this to whatever problems you need. I'll also post the final copy of my paper to Edsby. So on number 1, the first section here is evaluating each expression. So to evaluate the first one, following order of operations. So you're doing PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Where multiplication and division are done in order from left to right, and also addition and subtraction are done in order from left to right. So on this one, take out those parentheses first. Inside the parentheses we have addition. So 2, it's going to still stay on the outside, but then we have 6 plus 4, which gives us 10, and 2 times 10 is 20, and 20 is our final answer. Right, so then on number 2, we have 2 plus 1 on the top. Now we also have division, and yes, division does come before addition. However, this entire thing's on the top of this fraction, so it's as if it's in parentheses. It's grouped because it's all on the top of the fraction. It's all in the numerator. So we have 2 plus 1 is going to give us 3, and then 3 divided by 3 is just 1. Number 3, again, we can take care of everything in the parentheses first. Here we have our addition, we have subtraction, and we have division going on. So we could go ahead and simplify that part first, the division. So we can rewrite this as 6 times parentheses 5 plus 5 minus 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now addition, subtraction from left to right. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. So 6 times 8. And 6 times 8 is 48. And that's our final answer. On number 4, again, all the stuff on the bottom is grouped, and this might as well be in brackets because we got to do all of that first. We also have a set of parentheses here, so you got to do within those parentheses first. So we have 4 still going to be on top. Subtract 5 minus 3, that's going to give us 2 times. So after parentheses, you do exponents. So we can go ahead and do this. 1 to the 3rd power. Well, 1 times 1 times 1 is still just 1. Then we have multiplication happening on the bottom. 2 times 1 is still just 2. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. And that's our final answer. Now, the next part, it's still evaluating, but we have to evaluate using the given values. So we're going to plug those values in first before we simplify. So on here, for this one, I have H is 1, J is 6. So plug 6 in for J. I like to use parentheses anytime I plug a number in to make sure I'm not changing the operations. So 6 minus 1 squared. Well, 1 squared is just going to be 1. So 6 minus 1 is 5. That's our final answer. On number 6, plugging in a 6 and a 3. 6 goes in for M, and I'm going to rewrite it using my parentheses. So 6 times 3 over 6. Now, I can follow order of operations on this, but I also know properties that allow me to simplify fractions. So you could treat this as one big fraction and just cancel out the 6's, and you'd be left with 3. Again, since we're talking about evaluating, we're talking about order of operations, I'm going to go ahead and show this as order of operations. I do the top first. 6 times 3 is 18, and then 18 divided by 6 is 3. So like I said at the beginning, you could just cancel the 6's out, and you'd be left with 3. So again, there are other properties that you can use to help simplify besides just doing PEMDAS. Alright, on number 7. 7, I kind of got messed up on the printer. So on 7 we have 6 minus parentheses, and then we have to plug in these values for x and y. Well, they are both actually 2's, so plug it in and we get 6 minus, I'm going to change the original parentheses to brackets. So now, add those up. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. So now we have 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. Now, that's 8. We have x is 6, 5 for y, so plug those in. Oh, we also have y over there. So you're going to have 5 plus 6 over 6 minus 5. Here we can go ahead and divide that. 6 divided by 6 is 1. So we get 5 plus 1 minus 5. Now, it really does not matter the order that you do this. You could just say 5 minus 5 and give you 0. Those two cancel out and you're just left with 1. Again, doing correct order of operations, we're really going to say 5 plus 1 is 6, and then 6 minus 1 is, 6 minus 5 is 1. Oops, I cut that off. There it is. So again, we really could just cancel off the 5's and we'd be left with 1. And number 9, plug those values in. So we have 6 times, again, I'm going to change the original parentheses to brackets, because I use parentheses around everything I plug in. 3 minus 3 minus 3. Now, we can just go straight through that. 6 plus 3 is 9, minus 3 is 6, minus 3 again is 3. So this is going to be 6 times 3. And 6 times 3 is 18. On number 10, plug those values in. 5 goes in for A, 2 goes in for B. So I have 2 times 5 minus, again, I'm going to change some of these parentheses out. B was 2 minus, well, I got another set of parentheses even. So that's going to be 2 as well. Minus 1. Simplify this whole thing. Since these two are separated by a minus sign, we could go ahead and multiply those two right now. Get that one step done out of the way. The rest of this, again, inside those brackets, we need to go ahead and do all those. Here, we're going to do this part first. So, minus, so the 2, minus this part in the parentheses. 2 minus 1 is 1. Again, still doing parentheses first. 2 minus 1 is, again, 1. So 10 minus 1 is 9. That's our final answer. For 11 through 24, you have to solve. Now, there's not a lot of room on here, so if you need to do some of these on an extra piece of paper, that was fine. Some of these are just one step though, so they didn't require a lot of work. Once you got down to 17 through 24, there was one step, so you might have had to use extra paper. On number 11, we're just dividing by 15. So n is equal to 5. It's a negative 5 because it was one negative and the other one was positive. On 12. On 12, we have 6n equals 60. So we're going to divide both sides by 6. We end up with n equals 10. Oops. Maybe move the paper there. N equals 10. So n equals 5. On 13. We're going to subtract 13 from both sides. So minus 13, minus 13. V is equal to, so I know it's 13, negative 10. On this one, bring the 15 over by adding 15. So that's negative 3 equals x. On 15, we have a 3 on this side. It's being divided, so we're going to multiply both sides by 3. N equals 30. On 16, we divide by 7, so the opposite is multiplied by 7. Again, those cancel out. We have x equals, well, 7 times 7 is 49. Carry the 4. 7 times 1 is 7. Add the 4 back to 7, and you get 10. So we get 109. One of those values was negative, so it's a negative 109. That looks a little messy. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that. Negative 109. Yeah, 79. This is more than 2 steps. You could just go ahead and get rid of 3 if you want to at the very beginning. So if we just divide off 3, you'll be left with negative 7m plus 3 equals, and this divided by 3. Again, it's kind of like long division in your head if you want to do it that way, or you can use a calculator. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. 3 was negative, so this is going to be a negative 53. Now we can also bring this 3 over, so we're going to subtract it. So our next line would be negative 7m equals, again, subtract that, that's negative 56. Divide by 7, and 56 divided by 7 is 8. It's a positive 8 because a negative divided by another negative gives you a positive. So that's for 17. On 18, again, go ahead and just get rid of the 2. Again, there's nothing wrong with distributive property. You could distribute to each of those. Same over here. You could distribute the negative 3. But if we're solving, you might as well just get rid of the value instead of distributing it. There's no reason to simplify if we just need to get rid of it anyway. So divide that or both sides by negative 2. You get 1 minus 5x equals positive 41. Then we need to bring the 1 over by subtracting it. So we're still going to have negative 5x equals 40. And then finally, divide off the negative 5x. So we get a negative 8. Let's move this up. On number 19, we have the 1. We can go ahead and bring that over first. Now, for the sake of saving time, I know on the other ones I said you don't have to do the distributive property. And again, we don't have to do the distributive property here. We could bring over the 1 and then divide by 3. However, I'm trying to do this in as few steps as possible, so I can go ahead and bring the 1 over to this side. And while I'm doing that, I can go ahead and also distribute the 3. So we get negative 21x plus 18. Now I can go ahead and subtract the 18. So I get negative 21x equals, see, if I subtract 18 from this, I actually get a bigger negative number. So that's going to be 6, 2, 1. Again, it's a negative. It's a negative 126. And then we need to divide by 21. I think that goes in evenly. Let's see. I think 6 times. Let's try it just to double check. We're going to multiply 21 by 6 and see if it gives us that number. So 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. So that would work. So this is going to be a positive 6. Again, we divided 126 by 21. On 20. Again, same type of thing. I can go ahead and I'll use my distributive property this time, just like I did over here. I'll distribute the 4 to both of these, just to save us some time, because I'm going to also need to move that 6 over. So let's go ahead and move the 6. We're adding 6, so it gives us negative 104 equals negative 8 minus 12n. Now I can bring the 8 over, so add positive 8. That brings us down to 96 equals negative 12n. Divide by negative 12. I think that would be 8. Again, just to double check, make sure it's 8. I'm going to plug it in. 8 times 12. So 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 1 is 8. Add the 1 from 16. It gives us 9. So that's correct. So again, this would be n equals 8. And it's a negative 8 because when we divide a positive by a negative, it should be a negative number. On 21. You have a negative on the outside there. We can go ahead and distribute that to each of these. So we have a negative 7x minus 6 plus 8x equals 6 plus 4x. We also have x's on both sides of the equation, so that makes this a little bit harder. First, let's go ahead and combine these on this side. So 7x and 8x would just give us 1x. So I have negative 6 plus 1x equals 6 plus 4x. I'm going to go ahead and bring this 6 to this side by adding 6, by subtracting 6. So that gives us negative 12. Then I'm going to bring this x over to the other side by adding. That gives me 5x. This looks like a crazy number, so I'm going to want to double check my work, because on here, that's not going to go in evenly. So let's double check the work, make sure I did everything okay. We got the negative distributed. So then we combined negative 7 and 8 give us just 1x. We still had a negative 6 on this side. I copied those correctly. Bring the x over. There's a mistake. I got 5x, that should be 5x. When you bring the x over, you should be subtracting that x. So this should just be 3x. So our answer will not be a decimal after all. If you get a decimal, double check, make sure it works out. So now, this was 3x. We're going to divide by 3, and we get negative 4 for x. On 22, again, we could go ahead and distribute that negative 6, so that'd be negative 24p minus, actually plus now, 12, because you distribute the negative, so negative 6 times negative 2 gives us positive 12. Now, can go ahead and bring this p over to this side. So I'm going to add 24p. So that's going to give me 23p. I'm going to take the 35, subtract it from the other side. When we subtract it, it gives me negative 13. Let me just double check that, because that would not be a very nice answer. Distribute negative 24. Distribute positive 12. So then we took that, we added 24 to this, and got 23p. We took the 35 and subtracted it. So 12 minus 35. Oh, not. See, it's not 13, it's 23. I made another mistake. Sorry, it's very late and I'm making a few mathematical errors. But anyway, we have those two. We can go ahead and divide off 23, and p would just be negative 1. And if you get an answer that doesn't seem to make sense, check it. So on the last two problems, I would have got something that would give me a decimal. So I thought I probably did something wrong. I went back, checked it, and I did do something wrong. Again, you won't get a lot of decimals. Can you get decimal answers? Yes, but normally I'm not going to give you something that's something you have to round off a lot. So double check your answers if you get something crazy. On this one, we can use distributive property twice. So we have the negative 5x out in front. We distribute the negative 2, so we get negative 2x plus 16 equals, and then distribute this 2, so 2 minus 14x. On this side, you can combine the two x's, so we get negative 5 and negative 2 gives us negative 7x plus 16. We can bring the 14x over to the other side by adding it, so you get a positive 7x. At the same time, bring the 16 over this way. So we're going to subtract 16, so we get a negative 14. Divide by 7, and x is negative 2. And that's our answer. On 24, again, distribute on both sides. So we get negative 4 plus 8b equals negative 7b plus 42 minus 1. We can go ahead and combine those two like terms over here. So I'm not changing anything on the side yet. This side I get plus 41. We can bring the 7 over by adding 7. So the b value here, we're adding 7 to that. That gives us 15b. The 4 can bring over, so we're adding 4 to 41, and that's going to give us a positive 45. Divide by 15, and b is 3. Alright, on to the back. Not nearly as many problems on the back. We're still using the same directions from the front for these last two problems. So, sorry, my printer must be running out of ink. That says m over 4 equals 5 over 6. One way that you can do that is cross multiplying. That's probably the easiest way. So m times 6 and 5 times 4, and you set them equal. So 5 times 4 is 20. Divide by 6. Now, that would give us a bad decimal, so we could just reduce this fraction. They both reduce by 2, and that'd be 10 over 3. And that'd be a good answer. On this one, same thing. You could do by cross multiplying. 9 times x equals 2 times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Divide by 9. It's 10 over 9. That does not reduce. And if we did it as a decimal, it would not be a nice decimal. So we can just leave it as an improper fraction. Now, in the next and the last final section, we're solving the inequalities and graphing the solution. So in this one, we first move the 17 over by multiplying by 17. So we're going to have n is less than or equal to 14 times 17. I don't have a calculator sitting by me right now, so I'm just going to multiply that by hand. 7 times 4 is 28. So we're going to have to carry a 2. 7 times 1 is 7. So 7, and then add the 2 back, you get 9. Have 0 for placeholder, multiply by the 1s. So that's 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1. Add them up. 8. That's going to be 3 and 2. So 238, which is right there. So n is less than or equal to 238. We have a closed circle at 238 because we have the and equal to. Hence everything less than. So we're shading this way and drawing our arrow. On this one, bring the 8 over by dividing it off. So m is greater than or equal to. It's going to give us a positive value. It's going to be positive 20 when you divide. So at 20, again, we have a closed circle, but m is greater than or equal to, so now we're going the other direction. And it's a closed circle because we have the line underneath the and equal to, so it's included, and then everything greater than it. On this one, bring the 8 over by adding. So b is less than or equal to 7 plus 8 is 15. So starting at 15, again, we have a closed circle because it has the and equal to sign, and everything less than, so we're shading to the left. On 30, that one's really rough. Again, printer, sorry, might be running out of ink. That's a negative 5x. We're going to bring that negative 5x over to the other side, so we're going to divide by it. 75 divided by negative 5 is going to be 15. Again, it was divided by negative, so this will be a negative. And since we divide by negative, this sign, our inequality symbol, has to flip. So the less than or equal to is now greater than or equal to. However, we also can't leave it like that, because in order to read it and graph it correctly, we need to have the x listed first. So I'm going to flip this whole thing and say it as x is less than or equal to negative 15. So now we can graph that at negative 15, closed circle. Again, everything less than or equal to, so everything going in that direction. Just realized on this paper I didn't give you many open circles. There's only one on here that's going to be an open circle, and that's number 33. On 31, divide by that negative 15. So again, we're going to have to flip our sign. Let's see. That's a very big number. I think of that one in my head a little bit. If you divide by 15, 24 divided by 15, that only goes in once. So then we'd have 9 left over. So you'd have 90. So you have 1, and then 90 divided by 15 is 6. So 16. It's a positive 16 because both numbers were negative. 16 is less than or equal to v because we also had to flip a sign since we divided by a negative. And then on here, we're going to have to flip the whole thing because we read it in terms of v. So v is greater than or equal to 16. So close circle at 16 and everything greater. On 32, divide by 4. P is less than or equal. That divided by 4 is 16, and it's going to stay negative because negative and positive gives a negative outcome. Since it has the and equal to, it's a shaded closed circle. It's everything less than. On 33, this is the one where we have an open circle finally, because we have no and equal to underneath. We're going to multiply by 14. Good thing we've already done the work for that one, right? And it's really the same thing that we had up here because we're multiplying the same two numbers, 14 and 17. So it makes this one a little bit easier. We get 238 is greater than x, or again, if we flip it around, x is less than 238. So at 238, we're going to have an open circle, and then we're doing everything less than, so going in this direction. On 34, we need to get rid of 11 by multiplying by 11. So we multiply 11 to the other side. It'd just be 220. So x is greater than or equal to 220. Here's 220. Close circle there. Everything greater than. And that's it for the review. Again, quiz tomorrow will only be 8 questions, so it won't be anywhere near this long. I know this recording ended up being like 30 minutes, so again, hopefully you just fast forwarded and got what you needed from it. I'll also have all the answers posted, so if you want to double check any of the answers of what I have here, I will post it along with this video. All right.